So I was thinking of letting Greyfax command my blood ravens temporarily until I can get Angelos' arm sorted, and then he will resume command of his own forces. And the reason I'm giving for Greyfax to lead them is, well, she's an Inquisitor. There are chapters that have said no to the Inquisition before, and then, like the Soul Drinkers Space Marine chapter, they get declared excommunicatus traitores. So any Space Marine worth his salt simply lets the Inquisition get away with whatever the hell they want, because to do otherwise is to invite the Inquisitor to fabricate or claim whatever they want, and in the Imperium at large, an Inquisitor is second only to the Emperor himself. Any Inquisitor. It doesn't matter if you're brand new Inquisitor or you've been there for 1,000 years or so. It doesn't matter how old you are, you're an Inquisitor. You have the same amount of power as any other Inquisitor, unless you show them show that you respect them in some form. And then Gideon, my brand new acquisition, Gideon Lorr, here he is. Him, I'm gonna give a Sisters of Battle army to, because he's what's called a Puritan Inquisitor. Well, a Puritan Ordo Hereticus Inquisitor. And people might say, oh Dom, you need to wash your models to get all the release agent off. There wasn't much on Gideon when I got him. That and the fact that it was lost in the warp for nearly a month. Yeah. Well, I say nearly a month. That is a slight exaggeration there. It wasn't that long lost. It was just about 3 weeks in the warp. So, Inquisitors have this power of just getting rid of any Space Marines they don't like. That's how, not how, that's why the Black Dragons are constantly under supervision by the Inquisition, because the Black Dragons, although they're fiercely loyal, their mutations, and they are severe mutations, these aren't just things like, these are visible mutations, let's say. So they range from, and including, the ability, the horned armed growths on the models, on the Marines themselves, all the way up to the extra horn. So from a dragon-like appearance and extra horns on Space Marines coming out of their heads, out of their horns coming out of their arms, extra long growths on their arms, things like that. Truly terrifying prospects to face on the battlefield. I mean, you take a Space Marine's genetic structure, I say genetic, the genes, seed and other organs affect their bones to make them denser, so that they can have more muscle, so that they can survive for longer whilst fighting for the Emperor. And I'm fairly certain that if they were to take any but the Black Dragons had a malfunctioning in one of their organs that creates even more bone. So when this happens, they turn round to the Artificer and Tech Marines and go, "Can you encase my the extra horns on my arms to be coated in ceramite?" And they go, "Certainly." And then you got an assault marine jumping at you with a chainsword in one hand, a bolt pistol in the other, screaming on two big plumes of fire coming out of his jump pack, and ceramite horns on the end of his arms. So he can now punch his way pretty much through any armour that isn't Space Marine power armour. And even then, it's a narrow point, and you've got the full weight of a 7-foot tall, fully armoured Space Marine behind it, plus the momentum of the jetpack and the jump and the fact it's been running at you. So, quite conceivably, the Black Dragons can actually kill people with their horns. But somehow, regardless of mutation, when they get asked to send their tithes of gene seed back to Terra, it comes back 100% pure. And nobody knows why this is. 40k Theories has done a video on this subject, which I like actually, so I'll link it in down below in the description. But the Black Dragons, they're a mystery to be sure. Anyway, I will give Eisenhorn his own. I've got some touch-up work to do there on the painting. Otherwise, I need to paint his rod and pistol, as well as his face. He's going to have an Ordo Xenos army, primarily guardsmen. I might actually use him along with my Tanith first. I'm going to give Greyfax, who I've yet to finish painting, the Blood Ravens chapter, because regardless of who you are in the Imperial Man, any Inquisitor can say, "I want your ship." And you can say no if you want, but if you say no, be prepared to be declared a traitor to mankind, and then have your ship blown apart by the Imperium. And for that to happen, the Soul Drinkers are a warning to all. They were a loyal chapter of Space Marines that the Adeptus Mechanicus messed about with, and I say messed about, that's the politest way possible. They got the raw end of the deal big time. The Adeptus Mechanicus like shiny technological things. And before Dawn left the Imperium, he gave his sons some relics to take care of while he was gone. And the Soul Drinkers, let's get the right names here, had heard about the Spear of Dawn and went off to actually reclaim it, because it didn't belong in anyone's library sitting on a shelf to be admired. It belongs to the Sons of Dawn. So they go there, they go to the place where it's held, and an Adeptus Mechanicus ship follows them. Was invited along, was a better way of putting it. And they fight their way through the complex, going slaying mutants left, right and centre. And then when they get to actually almost picking up the spear, they're within feet of the spear. They get the Archmagos teleports his, not servitors, it's his workers aboard this small moon into the exact room right where the Space Marines are. They bend, pick up the spear, and then teleport back to the ship. He then sends it on to someone of lesser rank than him, so that he's not questioned about it later. So he gives it to someone else and says, "Here, take it, go. I don't want to see you anymore." So the Adeptus Mechanicus ship disappears off, and because the Soul Drinkers had fired warning shots at the Adeptus Mechanicus ship, the Inquisition came into play, and it all got blamed on the Soul Drinkers. And that's a story for one of my regiments of renown, my armies of renown series, because the Soul Drinkers, they are unique in their, not necessarily in their style of warfare, they're just a unique chapter. Someone who was traitor, but actually not fully worshipping any chaos deity as such. They just were blessed by Zeech a couple of times. Yeah, so I will cover them in a later video with some lore behind them. I mean, the Blood Ravens themselves are a curious bunch. They have possibly the most interesting backstory, because nobody knows where they came from. No one knows. They recruit, they're fleet based, they recruit from various different subsectors, and aside from the Dawn of War games, of which there were loads, there's Dawn of War 2 expansions. Don't think there's Dawn of War 2, and Dawn of War 3. Dawn of War 3 has been out fairly recently as a new take on the game, but that's had mixed reviews. Some people like it, some people don't. And really, it's up to you at the end of the day if you want to go and play those games. But they give more of a, not necessarily detailed history, but they give you some idea of the Blood Ravens history and other chapters and places that they've fought alongside. Then there's a CS Goto books or omnibus that I've got at the moment, which is another interesting read, although he's not my favourite author. And yeah, the Blood Ravens are interesting, but because no one knows who they're sired from, because they've got a high number of psychers, like the Thousand Sons had, but there's an unknown. So there's an unknown patriarch in this Blood Ravens history. The primogenitor is unknown to all of them. They've got the raven symbol of one of the Thousand Sons cults, the Corvidae cult. They've got, then there's a warning on before the Battle of Prospero, where they were warned about the Ravens of Blood, and because they've got Blood and Raven in their name, they're either part of the Blood Angels' successors and somehow don't have the Black Rage or Red Thirst side effects, or they're part of the Raven Guard. So whichever one you come up with is fine by me. Personally, I think they're nearer the Thousand Sons, given the high intake of librarians and the general psychic potential hidden inside them. So yeah, that was my video for today, showing you Gideon Lorr. I will get him assembled, and I'm going to put him, I've decided, on a 40mm base, and I'm going to take this back banner that I once had mounted on Gabriel Angelos before I started doing my YouTube channel. I had it mounted on him. I'm going to paint a different chapter logo onto there, because I'm not going to have one of my own Space Marine armies becoming, or being trampled upon by an Ordo Hereticus Inquisitor, regardless of who he says he is. So that's going to be all for today, and I shall see you next time. Thank you for watching.